Alright, so I just hung one door here. They're pretty straightforward. You put this little sort of a cleat in there. It fits in, friction fit, and then there's two screws that help it stay in. This guy's just a friction fit, and I'll show you that later. You can adjust all these these doors using all those screws in there, and they're also a nice soft close. Alright, so with that in place, now we want to look to see how well do these panels fit on the sides here. Alright, so I've measured up this panel. I do unfortunately have to cut about 1 1/8 off of it. Now, anybody that's worked with IKEA anything in the past will know that it is basically particle board with paper veneer on it. I don't even know what this veneer is made of. It looks good. It's not real wood. So, when you cut this stuff, first of all, it's going to create a lot of really fine dust, which is really irritating, but it's going to be really prone to chipping. So this is the side I'm going to have facing down on my table saw, and anybody with table saw experience knows the face that's facing down is going to be prone to chip out. So I put tape on it, step one. Step two, this is going to be the face that's going to be up against the cabinet up at the top, so if there is any damage, I'm hoping it's going to be hidden, and that should leave what I'm going to call my visible side all intact. That's the theory. Now, I have to go set up my table saw with a fine cut blade to try and do this. Unfortunately, today we're expecting a high of -21 Celsius, so working with an aluminum table saw is going to be really tough on the hands, so wear gloves. Alright, so I ran this through my table saw. This is the good side. And you'll see I got actually a pretty good cut there. Now, on a good note, you always put your hidden face down because my table saw scratched the crap out of it. It's just an aluminum table on it. Now I'm curious, with a fine blade and a bit of tape. Oh, I am impressed, actually. With a fine cross-cut blade and a bit of tape, that edge came out pretty good. It's got a scratch, that's going to be hidden, fortunately. This side goes up, let's install it and see what it looks like. Alright, so we got that first panel in. That actually looks pretty good. Now, as always, no wall is ever straight. There is a tiny gap there. If it is a big concern, I might run a bead of caulking on there. I'll decide that later. But I think that looks pretty good. It hides most of the white. The door opens sort of flush with the side of the cabinet, so the fact that this sits proud doesn't interfere with the door. Very good. All right, a few more to do. All right, so back there, you can see I've run the rail right through for all these cabinets. It just is going to give you a stronger rail to hang things on. Now that is obviously going to interfere with the side panel I put on here. So all I did was I just notched out the top back of the panel. Nobody's going to see that. Fits right around that rail. Should be very nice and easy to install. You want to be very conscious of where you're putting these screws because they sit a little bit proud of the cabinet wall here. They're a pan head screw. You want to know where these hinges are going because you want to make absolutely sure that you aren't going to be interfering with your hinges. You could have put it here, but that's a little close for comfort. Be very aware of that. Alright, we're going to try and measure up for where this dishwasher is going to go because it's going to sit in here. There's going to be a panel here. The dishwasher is 23.5 inches wide. The box says 24. I'm going to give it 24.5 just to make absolutely sure that I got enough room. So we know it's going to butt up against this cabinet, so it should be pretty simple. So that's going to give us a mark to line up where exactly that panel needs to go. Now once we put it in, I'm going to put a couple braces on here just to hold it because I'm just on a silicone on the wall, silicone on the floor, silicone where the countertop is, just to hold it in place. So I'm just getting the panel cut for the dishwasher here, and you'll see that this floor is not level, which is not a big shock. So I know I got to cut the front a little longer than the back. Nothing out of the ordinary there. So I've done that. Now let's fit it into place and check it to see how well I did. Alright, I had to cut some funny angles along the bottom and the back, but it looks like it's fitting really well. Alright, so I had one of my big burly strong friends come and help me put these countertops back in. I highly recommend you get the strongest friend you have, offer them lots of beer and pizza, stuff like that, because granite is bloody heavy. I think I'm about 2 inches shorter because my back is bent so badly now. However, they're in. They're level. We've got this joint flush between the two. The countertops don't rock anywhere. We put some silicone down along the front edges there just to sort of secure them in place. They're heavy, they're not going anywhere, but a little glue won't hurt. So making some good progress here. Just going to finish up these decorative panels, and then I got a few other things to do, and then we'll get the doors and stuff on. She's rolling right along. Alright, so one of the fun things we've got to do now is we've got these counters back in place. They're pretty level across this seam. They're not 100% perfect, but they are very, very close. We want to make sure that when you are wiping your counters, there's not some big ridge here. Now, obviously with this gap, we got to fill it, so we're going to put some epoxy in it. I believe that's what was in there before. And it actually held really well. When we were trying to pull these apart, we actually lifted this whole counter by the end that way, and it took a long time for this to break. So epoxy is extremely tough, and I couldn't even chisel out the old stuff. So, we're gonna put this together. We're gonna mix up the epoxy. We're going to fill up this gap and take the tape off so we get a nice clean seam and let it sit. So, got everything at the ready. Basically, we just follow the old instructions. It says it sets in 15 minutes and cures in 30. Ooh, that's pretty quick. I don't like that. Alright. Alright. Here goes nothing, but maybe we'll throw down a little paper towel here. Alright, so I'm going to peel this tape off and we're going to let that sit. I may have to do a second round because this will probably sink in a little bit. Okay, so you can see like some of it's kind of sinking in here, but once this sets, it'll of course hold up any more I put in there. The big concern is going to be underneath here, which I did not get terribly well, but I'll have to do more later. So this is going to set in a supposedly 15 minutes and cure in 30, so we'll check it out in a bit here. Alright, so this epoxy has set. Now it's not like steel hard, but it's definitely hard. Like you could scrape excess away, or you could sand it down a bit. And if you need to do that, now is the time, because if you give it 24 hours, you're going to need more than a chisel to get at it. So you can see in places here, it has sort of, you know, sunk in because it is liquidy, which is good because that means it's going to get down into this seam. So what I'm going to do now is mix up another batch, and we're going to top that bad boy up. Ta-da!